Hello and welcome back to Chatter Platter. For today's episode, we'll be talking about diets. And as you can see, my co-host Emerald is here.
That's my way of saying hello.
Let's see. Question is what diet to start with for talking.
Um, well, there's many.
Yeah,
uh,
let's see.
I'll be very honest. I'm not that knowledgeable in diets. I just know the most popular ones.
So what's your opinion on insectivore diet? Eating things that have exoskeletons mostly.
Like like bugs.
Bugs, spiders, scorpions, crickets.
I feel like that diet is more of a. I might be wrong, but I feel like that diet's a bit more cultural. Seeing as I only see people that are like not from the United States be the ones who mostly participate in eating bugs. When the most I've seen of the United States is people eating bugs for videos and stuff for the shock factor.
Yeah, I do have to agree. A lot of people do tend to use the insectivore diet for shock factor. I will admit that.
But I always say I don't really have much opinions on the diet. That when I saw most of the times when they eat bugs, they're safe to eat by the time they eat them. So not really much I can say
Mm,
other than I was a bit shocked to find out people actually do eat bugs.
mm. I also have to admit that I was surprised to learn that people do eat bugs, and depending on where you live, sometimes that's just what's available and it's cheaper. Because every region has its own set of food, which is why different diets do exist. Which, not going to judge anyone because if you don't have access to much, odds are you're going to eat what you have access to, regardless of what it is.
I feel like most of the insectivore diet though is not out of necessity. It's more of like it's been a cultural thing for like their entire existence. So that's kind of what they eat since that's their culture. They eat bugs.
And it isn't often that people tend to go outside of culture for eating certain foods. But I do know of one weird exception, and the only reason I know about this is because of an uncle. But in some places, you can order burgers made from spiders and crabs.
I've heard that. I know that
I don't
the
have
crab
details on
one.
it.
I know that at least from my knowledge and the very little knowledge I have to be exact, at least the crab one is more common. Is more of a common culture thing in like Asia, which I mean it doesn't sound bad. Everybody likes crab.
Which,
Bugs, that's I don't know where that originates from, but I also know that the spiders they use are very specific.
yeah,
Like they don't just grab any spider, from what I saw.
like as far as I'm aware, it is usually tarantulas or things that are like tarantulas are picked. But
Funny
if
thing,
they don't make it from
from what
spiders,
I
odds are it's crab. And
funny thing, the fun I've actually tarantula is like the least I've seen. I think that the tarantula's only ever been used when I've seen it again in YouTube videos for like the shock factor. But like for videos of people like actually who eat bugs as a snack or something, it's never a tarantula.
Yeah,
It's interesting to see. It's like to
yeah,
me, it's interesting because from what I'm seeing, tarantulas are more for shock factor than anything.
yeah. I have to agree with that. Tarantulas are generally shock factor, but sometimes it's not. And I
Yeah, sometimes.
have heard, like I don't know if this has been confirmed or not, I haven't found any information on this online when I searched. But I've heard something about there being cricket burgers, where people make patties out of crickets. I've not
That
found
I don't
any
know.
way to confirm if that's real or not.
The only thing I know is that crickets is the more common bug that
Mm,
when you hear someone bug eating, it's usually crickets. That's the most
yeah.
I know.
And one of the main reasons why crickets are most common is simply because crickets are easy to farm. Like, it does not take long to get 1,000 crickets, and they may be small, but they do grow quickly as well. So it's easy to use crickets, at least. Mm,
I know that there are times where I have been curious and it's like, how does a bug even
mm,
taste like?
mm. I do
I know
know
one
from some
video
people
I
who have
saw.
tried it,
Yeah.
well, tried some cricket, and they say it's kind of like eating popcorn if you eat it fried or
I just
roasted.
see videos of people being like, it tastes like nothing. I see people be like, it
Mm,
literally has no flavor.
yeah. Which, to be fair, popcorn doesn't really have much flavor by itself, which is why
I
whenever you
mean,
get
yes,
popcorn, like
but
in the movie theater, for
usually,
example, it's
I
given
mean,
all sorts of
yes.
flavors, artificial
Oh,
flavors.
yeah, because yes, most popcorn, for it to be popcorn, usually you have to add butter and salt, which gives it a
Mm,
buttery, salty flavor. But I know that
mm,
the things I've seen about bugs that most people have seen is oh it has no flavor. It's just crunch.
mm. Which I have to admit, I am curious enough I would actually try it if I got the opportunity to.
I'm like terrified of bugs, so even though I'm curious, I don't think I would be able to.
Mm,
But I've
mm,
seen many videos of people eating bugs, and I'm like, huh.
mm. Which, in all reality, it has been found that crickets do have a slightly higher protein content than beef,
Yeah, I
and
know that
it's
most bugs
roughly the
like
same iron content as well.
I know, yeah, I know that. Like the phrase, "Oh, if they find a bug in their burger, just tell them it's extra protein," is decently accurate sometimes
Mm,
because it is. It literally is.
mm, mm. For insectivore diet, I do have to admit I am curious, but I haven't had the fortune to have the opportunity to actually try it for myself. But I am
Yeah,
curious.
yeah. That's another thing. It's like I don't even know where you would like find something like that. I never knew where these YouTubers when they made their videos or influencers when they made their videos. I was like, where did you even
Yeah.
find this though?
That's a question
Like,
that
how
I
did
have
you?
as well because I have gone around asking around where could I go to get certain things like crickets, like fried crickets to eat, so I can try it. And I haven't really had much luck outside of traveling, and in all honesty, I don't have the money to travel.
I know that some people like order it, but I don't know from where. And I doubt
Yeah,
you can just order it in Amazon. Unless
yeah.
I'm wrong. Amazon apparently has everything.
Yeah, I might have to double check Amazon on that. Like I do know that some people do get their groceries exclusively through Amazon. But,
Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if there is a website where you could order like a bag, but I have no clue. Like I don't like there's a website for everything, so
yeah. So that's insectivore diet. What diet should we talk about next?
like I said, I only know the popular diets, like mostly the popular diets, the ones that like people talk about the most, like vegan, carnivore, a little bit of keto. That's my knowledge.
Yeah.
I know that there's, I believe, a high protein diet. I know that there's a,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I also know vegetarian, pescatarian, like that's all I know.
The pescatarian diet, I will admit I have tried that one, and I will admit it is weirder than what you'd think it'd be, because ironically it's not exclusive to eating fish for your source of protein,
I had a feeling.
but you can eat things such as crab and shrimp and lobster.
So pescatarian is seafood, essentially, a seafood diet.
Mostly seafood for meats, but you can have plants, land plants at least. So you can have like an ordinary salad, but then you have fish with it. But there's so many options for pescatarian, which genuinely surprised me.
That's another thing. I know that some diets have like sub diets, and that's where
Yeah,
I'm
like
like,
branches that break
um,
off from the main thing.
yeah, that's the when I only know that those exist again because of the vegan diet.
Mm,
But I know that I do know that the pescatarian is more seafood related, which I mean I get it. I'm not
mm,
the biggest enjoyer of seafood. I am very
mm,
limited, but I
mm,
get it. Low key, like I get.
mm,
For me, I'm always someone that is like I understand most diets. Like they
mm,
exist either for if they exist for cultural reasons, cool. If they exist because it helps people, cool. I don't
mm,
care.
yeah,
For me, it's as long as as the diet you're doing it healthily, go crazy.
yeah. Yeah, you have to agree with any diet as long as you do it safely and respectfully. Because one thing I
Yeah,
have seen is, especially online, is there's a lot of people who do not respect other people for their choices in diet.
yeah.
And
Sometimes, and sometimes that's sad because it's like
mm,
the people doing especially because usually the diets have a bad reputation because of other people, and it's like
mm,
the diet itself is not the issue,
yeah,
So like if they're doing the diet and they're being healthy about it, who cares? Genuinely, who cares?
exactly.
Like
And
if they're being healthy, great, awesome. Who cares?
yeah. And with food in general, like I'm gonna use vegan as an example. Not everyone enjoys plants, but I'm not going to judge someone because they like to eat salad more than anything else. Because some people
Yeah.
genuinely like salad, and
Other
that
times,
isn't everyone.
other times, people have to stick to very certain diets, whether you agree with it or not, because of health issues.
Yeah. And
I know that there are
whether there's
people
a
who
health
have
issue
a
or not, my opinion
yeah, whether
on
it
it
is or
is
not.
don't judge.
Yeah, like I agree. It's like who again, who cares? It's not your life. You don't
Yeah.
know this person from Adam and Eve. If they're being healthy about it, leave them alone. Like if you see that they're healthy and you see that they are
Yeah.
relatively healthy, and when I mean I mean that they're not like like you can, and I mean they're not dying on like the streets or something. Leave them alone. Just leave them alone.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I know the pescatarian diet. Honestly, I always was like,
Yeah.
I find it funny because I also like how the media portrays it as, oh, you just eat fish, and it's like, no, you eat
Yeah,
seafood.
pescatarian has so many inaccurate stereotypes. And one
Everything
of
that
those
doesn't exist.
stereotypes has to do with people mixing it up with ocean diet. And ocean diet is you can only eat things that come from underwater,
Hmm.
which I'll admit I have not tried ocean diet because, quite frankly, there's not that many plants from the ocean that
I
are
mean,
edible for humans, last I checked. I might be wrong
I
on that, it's
mean,
been a while.
I don't think it's all plants, but I know most algae are consumable, and I
True.
think that's what probably they eat because it's probably just
Yeah.
algae. I doubt they're eating
Algae with a
fish.
mix of a few other things.
Yeah, I know it's mostly algae because I have seen videos where in certain countries they eat a lot of algae because it's
Yeah,
just very readily available.
yeah,
I know that they also eat seaweed. That's another thing.
yeah. I'll admit I
There's
have tried seaweed and kelp, and both of which have flavors that you will automatically recognize, and it's like one of those things where once you eat it, you will recognize it till the end of your life, essentially.
I've eaten seaweed. Not for me. At least not seaweed by itself.
Yeah,
I can
I
eat
agree
it.
on that. By
I
itself,
can eat it. The most time I've been able to like eat it, and I mean like eat it and enjoyed it has been when I ate onigiri, and that's the only time I'm like, okay, I can actually. This is actually good. Cause by itself, I I I tried and I couldn't do it. But it didn't taste bad. It's just the
yeah,
texture. The texture I
yeah,
couldn't handle it. I'm like,
yeah, I
yeah,
have to agree with that. It is one of those textures as well, where it's like, no matter what you eat, if there's seaweed or kelp in it, you will recognize it instantly, whether it's cooked or
yeah.
raw. Well,
No, yeah,
technically, don't know if
and
there is rules for raw or not.
I believe seaweed you don't really cook it. You just kind of add it to the thing. Kelp, I believe you do cook sometimes, but I know that seaweed you just kind of add. You don't really cook seaweed. That's like something that's added. But I just did not like the texture, and I was like, okay, this is not for me. It tastes good. It's just the texture's not for me. But I did try with onigiri, and I'm like, okay, this is more my style.
Yeah.
Um, I know the I know that the pescatarian diet is something that I have been wanting to try as well. Mostly because I just want to try more seafood. Because
Yeah. Pescatarian is
I don't
definitely
really.
the way to go if you want to try more seafood, but
The
not
only
be on the ocean
problem is
diet.
that the only problem is that I do have to be careful with seafood because of an allergy, which is another reason why I've always been like I want to try it, but
Yeah,
I don't want to get an allergic reaction.
yeah, with seafood, you will definitely have to be careful if you have allergies.
Yeah, like the most I've been able to eat is raw fish,
Uh,
which is really good.
yeah.
I'll be honest, it's really good.
I've tried crawfish, I've tried crab, I've tried lobster. For some reason, all three of those taste the same to me, but that's just
I
my
think they have
opinion.
I think they just have similar flavors.
Yeah.
I know that
Well, they're
I've tried
related.
the only the only crab I've ever tried is imitation crab,
Uh,
which is good, which is still good, still good. I
I haven't
just
tried
haven't had
imitation before.
imitation
Imitation
crab.
crab.
It's very common At least from my understanding, in most American species, like you'll usually find imitation crab.
Yeah. Oh.
It's
Yeah.
pretty good. I don't know if it has the same flavor as crab because I've never had actual crab.
Yeah. I've had actual crab. I do not know what varieties because where I live, crab is just referred to as crab regardless of the species. So a portion of the
Okay,
time when I do eat crab, I don't know what kind of crab I'm eating. But I
I've
do
never
know
really.
what crab generally tastes like, and it's a very succulent meat.
I
Like,
also
you do
heard
take
that.
your time with it.
Yeah, I've heard that with lobster and like crab, you do
Mm,
take a bit of time with it. I think that's
mm.
why. I think that's one of the reasons people like it so much.
And then you have shrimp, which is the oddball exception because shrimp is succulent, but it's also in such a way that you can't really do much with it unless it's either coconut shrimp or just a larger quantity of shrimp because
Hmm.
it's simply not as much meat.
I've actually seen the opposite. I've actually seen people do a lot, even with like smaller shrimps. Again, this is mostly the Asian, the Asian cultures that I've seen, but I have seen them do a lot of stuff, no matter how big or small the shrimp is.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't stop them.
Mm,
But yeah, the farthest I've ever gone with the pescatarian diet is raw fish and fish in general. That's the most I've done. I have tried. I know that I have tried like shrimp and stuff at one point in my life, but after after a few years, I had an allergic reaction to some seafood, and I'm like, and ever since I have to be careful with it from now on.
yeah. Which is understandable.
I will say shrimp is great though. I had
Yeah.
that time when I had fried shrimp. I
Mm,
wanted a lot of it.
yeah.
I ate a lot of it. I was like, ooh, this is real nice.
Yeah. Shrimp is also one of those things where you do have to be careful with where you're getting it from because depending on where, there is a chance it could be near a region where there's doing mining, and then whatever's in the waters ends up in the shrimp. Same
Mm.
goes for crab and lobster, which is why you
I
have
feel
to be
like
a little
that's
careful with
just
those.
I feel like that's just every seafood though. You just have to be
Yeah,
careful as to where it is, because
yeah,
you never know. But at the same time, I know
yeah,
that the seafood market is also very careful of,
yeah,
because a bad fish or a bad shrimp or a bad crab can lead to death. So they have to be
yeah.
careful with it.
Yeah, they do have to be careful, but even with caution, there is no way for them to 100% guarantee,
That's
which
why
is part
that's
of
why
why they
like a
do have
lot
a
of
lot
people
of regulations on it.
yeah, that's why there's regulations, and also why people just in general, people just in general, how do I say it? Just essentially don't people in general don't like eat raw fish in general, or usually they're told, hey, you might want to cook this fish instead of eating it raw, or if you're gonna eat it raw, eat it right now.
Yeah,
Because I know one thing about fish, you cannot let it be raw for too long before you're forced to cook it, or if not, you're gonna get sick.
yeah,
And if you're gonna eat it raw, if it has an overly fishy smell, don't eat it because it's probably gone bad.
yeah.
Like that's the most I know.
It's Would you like to talk about vegan diet or vegetarian diet next?
Uh, we can talk about both since people keep
Yeah.
confusing them both,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny because it's like
Mm,
I feel like there's been enough discourse that you can tell the difference by now, but no.
yeah. I have to
And
admit, it does
just
make me
to,
sad that people confuse them so heavily,
it's
because there
just,
are subtle differences between the two.
I wouldn't say subtle, I would say very big differences. Like, vegans exclusively eat plant and non-dairy products because
Yeah.
they come from animals.
Yeah.
They essentially don't eat anything that's comes from an animal. Meanwhile, vegetarians is like I eat plants and animal and some animal products. I don't eat meat though.
Yeah.
Like that's the difference essentially, and I would say that's very different compared to a vegan. Vegans do not eat
Yeah.
animal products, no matter what it is. They don't
Well,
wear animal products. They don't use animal products. They use plant based, and that's it.
yeah.
Vegetarians just don't eat
Yeah,
meat.
vegetarians are not quite as strict, but
Yeah,
agreeing with
like
you, they
they,
don't eat meat, but they do occasionally eat egg.
yeah, they eat egg. They
Usually it's
drink
cheese.
milk.
Milk
They,
and cheese products are usually what makes it vegetarian.
yeah, that and sometimes, and again, they don't care. And another thing is they're not strict when it comes to animal products either. Like, they will eat eggs. They will drink milk. They will eat cheese. They will eat ice cream. They will eat they what's another product? They will eat non-vegan beans. They will eat they will eat it. They just won't eat meat. That's
Yeah.
it. They'll eat anything, just not meat. Vegans have to be strictly plant-based.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that is like the difference is very obvious because if you see
Yeah.
someone eating if you see someone eating anything but they don't eat meat, you can be like, okay, then they're probably vegetarian. But if you see them eating only plant-based products, you can say, okay, they're vegan.
Yeah. And
Um, I don't have much problems with the diet because I don't think the diets are bad. I
yeah.
just think, I just think I just think that the vegan diet gets a lot of bad rep. That's all my thing. The vegan
Yeah,
diet and
I
then
do
vegetarians
have
have to
to
suffer for it.
agree.
And then vegetarians suffer for it
Yeah.
because people confuse the two.
Yeah. And the other
I
reason
don't
why people confuse the two is because of groups of people that are online who are overly
mm,
judgmental of diets and are obsessed with judging diets. Like
yeah,
you can find, oh, you can go.
my only thing with the vegan diet to be exact, it is way too strict in my opinion. That's my only gripe with it. I feel like it's too strict.
I can
Cause
agree with
what
that.
like the vegetarian I would say is this is this is me joking, vegan light because they're not as strict. But to me, the vegan diet is way too strict. Like, especially when you dive deep into the different subcategories that the vegan diet has. I'm like, there are some subcategories that are not that strict, but there are others that are super strict. And I'm like, this is a bit too much. It feels like, I don't mean this to offend, but it feels like the point of the diet is starving yourself.
Yeah.
And that's my only gripe with it. Like, I don't think the vegan diet is a bad diet, but I do think it is a bit too strict and limiting.
Yeah, I do have to agree, it is highly limiting. And there is a branch that does break off from the. Actually, there's several branches, but I only remember two of them. And one of the branches I do know of that's there for vegan diet. I do not remember what it's called. But there is a well, branch of the vegan diet where you only eat fruits.
I know that one, yeah.
I do
I
not
know
remember what
about
it's
it.
called.
Which, again, I'm like, that is very strict. And it
Mm.
always confused me. Like, why is this diet so strict? Another, like, strictness I saw in the diet was, this is one that I've known a lot about, mostly because it is the one that's most talked about because it was tied to a very problematic influencer. The raw food vegan diet that you can only eat raw. You cannot cook your food
Oh,
like at all. And I'm like, that's again
that
very
is
strict.
dangerous on so many levels.
And I know that, yeah, there are times where it's like you kind of. I feel like cooking your food isn't just for flavor. I feel like it's also for
And
like,
it's also a
killing
safety
off
because there's so many
bacteria. Yeah,
parasites, not just
like you would
bacteria,
have
there's a lot of
to,
things that like to be in raw
yeah,
food.
wash it. Like you would have to wash your food
And if you don't
period.
wash your food, then that's setting yourself up for food poisoning or worse.
But yeah, I know of there was another one where it's like raw, low fat, raw, high fat, and I'm like, that again, that's very strict. I was like, that's very strict. Jesus. And again, I don't know why the diet is so strict. Like, I don't think there's I personally I'm like again, I don't think there's a problem. I'm curious in the sense of why the diet is so strict. Like I understand at least the vegan diet itself, no subs and anything, why it exists. I had a friend at one point who had to go on a vegan diet because of health reasons, like severe health reasons. That the only thing they could eat was the vegan diet, and I'm like, that's fine. I understand that. That's why I say I understand the diet. I don't understand though why it's so strict.
And,
Cause
and
what do you? Because I'm like again the raw low fat raw high fat 80 10 10 stuff like that, and I'm like that's very strict. I know that vegans are not the only one guilty of strict diets. I know there's other diets that are
yeah, there's
also
other
strict,
diets that are strict in different ways, and
but it's just it makes me curious why the vegan diet itself is incredibly strict too, especially with something that it's like I saw, especially some of the ones I saw where again it felt, this could be me being very uneducated, it felt like it was getting close to the point of starvation. I'm like, there's no way you're getting enough calories for your body to
to
still be
operate
healthy.
correctly.
And maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. But I don't know. With how strict it was, I'm like, I got a bit worried, but at the same time, if that's the diet that keeps someone healthy, you do you. Stay healthy. Just please don't starve yourself.
Yeah,
If you are getting into that territory, please don't.
yeah.
Find another way.
Like
Find
if
another
you
way.
think that starving yourself is going to help you in the long run,
It's not. It's really not. It's dangerous.
yeah,
It's a dangerous slippery slope.
it's a it's not just a slope, it's a entire gamble because for every second your body is burning its own resources because it can't get more resources to replace what is gone bad. It has to rely on resources that have been stored, and because of how the human body works, just for the human body, we tend to store a lot of toxins in our cells, and when our bodies start burning through their own reserves too quickly, that can sometimes release dangerous amounts of certain toxins that have already collected in our bodies. And that is a very, very bad thing, which I'm not an expert, I will say that. I will say that in the long run, starving yourself is simply not worth it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's worth it. Again, do the diet you want to do. Just don't get to that point.
Yeah,
Like, it's fine dieting. It's fine. Like,
yeah,
that's fine. If you think that's gonna help you and it's gonna make you either be healthy or stuff like that, do it.
yeah,
Don't starve yourself though. Don't. If you feel like you're starving yourself, don't do it. Don't
yeah,
do it. If you think that if you're not getting enough, I would say if you're getting like very low calories in the sense of like this is definitely not enough to sustain a human, don't do it. Just
yeah,
you'll find a way to make it healthy. If you want to keep a diet, find a way to make it healthy.
yeah,
But yeah, apart from that, that's my only gripe with the vegan diet. It is way too strict in my opinion.
yeah,
Like I, in a way that it's like I don't think it's healthy. But again, I have been proven wrong. I do know that there are vegans who have very
yeah,
healthy like lives. Like I said, I had a friend at one point who was on the vegan diet and they were doing great. So it's like that's fine. Just don't I just don't like the strictness of it.
yeah.
Like that's a bit too strict.
Like, something I will admit to already know is that not every diet is available in every place. Like, there's some areas where
No,
a
no,
vegan diet is simply not feasible because the food would just be too expensive,
no, yeah, I know
which
that.
is
I
why
know
certain
that there are
places don't have
people.
vegans because they can't afford the food to be vegan.
Yeah, I know that. I know that produce can be quite expensive sometimes.
Yeah,
Um, the vegetarian diet, I'm like, again, from what my understanding, it's not as strict as the vegan diet. It's pretty like you can read back and forth, you know.
yeah,
Because I know that there are points in the vegan diet where you can't even eat, I think certain breads. Maybe I'm
yeah.
wrong, but I heard at one point that it's like at least some vegan diets include gluten in there, and I'm like, I feel like we're getting a bit strict again. Like,
The weird
if you
thing
can't
that's
eat
there with
gluten, it's
gluten is that the microorganisms are used to in gluten to make certain breads. I do not know the full science behind how bread works, I will admit that. But is there a specific microorganism? I believe it's yeasts, but they do have alternatives to
probably.
yeasts. But going to the point, it is still in debate whether it's technically a plant or an animal, so some people will not eat things that have gluten
Yeah,
because
like
they think it's an animal.
I know that there are some people who also don't eat certain candies because they're animal. Because if they're on the vegan diet, because they are
Yeah,
made with animal products. Like for
yeah,
example, gummy candy or Oreos,
yeah.
they are
There's
made
also
with an animal
yogurt.
product.
Well,
Yogurt,
certain types of yogurt. There's also pudding. Jello is
any
definitely on that because
Jello, like
most
it,
Jellos use animal
it's
material.
yeah. Because to get the gelatin consistency, I believe you need animal fat.
It's
I know
either
that there are
animal fats
people.
or animal fats from the bones. I did not remember which one.
Bone
And
marrow.
the alternatives to making Jello that would be vegan is just expensive, which is why companies don't use vegan Jello. It's simply because it's expensive as shit.
Yeah, and heck, I know vegans don't eat a lot of pastries because they have
Right.
egg in it,
Yeah, either it
but
has
a lot
egg or it
of
has
people
other
have to
things
eat.
in it.
It's mostly egg, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I know that there are people who don't eat marshmallows because of their diet, because of the vegan diet. And it's like I'm like, damn. Like it's very strict. Meanwhile, I look at the vegetarian diet and I'm like, I feel like this is a bit more chill, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it's less I see, at least from what I've seen, it is very much not as strict.
Yeah.
Cause at least there, it's not. I haven't heard about. I haven't heard much to make me be like, I don't feel like this is incredibly strict.
Yeah, figure out what diet to put next.
I mean,
Oh,
do
what?
you want to dive into the carnivore diet? I know that one's a bit controversial.
Yeah. The total carnivore diet.
Hmm.
Yeah. I have to admit, total carnivore diet is something I did try when I was younger, and this is my opinion on it from when I tried it. There's not a lot of flavor to it. Like, if you wanted to add any flavor to anything, you had to find something else to use for flavoring. Like, for
I
example, if
know
you wanted to
that.
have a steak, but you wanted to have it flavored, you'd have to find some other type of meat or a meat broth and use that to add flavor, or otherwise you'd have no flavor.
I know that the most my exposure to the carnivore diet was mostly through social media, and I saw that it was again very strict. What like a lot of people said, you can only the only seasoning you can add is salt. You can only eat meat and butter in some of the carnivore diet, and can't eat anything else. Sometimes I know that I think this is another like subcategory. You can only eat you can only eat raw meat.
Mm, that's inaccurate. I will have to admit that when I went on to carnitarian diet, total carnitarian diet, it was only for a week and it was due to a temporary medical necessity. And one of the first things I learned is I could still have cheese
Mm.
with the diet, which you can have, like, as long as it comes from an animal, you can technically have it. But
I
if you
know
want to
that
have seasoned food, you can only season it using things that come from animal, and there's only so much that comes from animals that you can use as seasoning. Like, it wasn't the worst diet, in my opinion, but in terms of flavor, a lot of things just felt really dull.
I mean, yeah, from my understanding, again, at least this is the one I saw on social media that people were promoting. The one that they were promoting is people eating sticks of butter, and then the only seasoning they added to their food was salt. And I'm like,
That makes that makes me uncomfortable just hearing that.
I'm someone who is like, you, but if you don't add seasoning to my food, I'm gonna say it's bad. For me, there has to
Mm,
be like a lot of seasoning in food.
mm,
So when I heard of that, I'm like, that.
That makes me uncomfortable just
Okay.
hearing that people are just having just sticks of butter.
I don't know if that's supposed to be part of the diet or if that's just something that or if that's just something that just came
I
as a
don't
social
know if
media and
that's
became
the.
part of it.
I think that might be shock factor.
Probably. I just saw that, but I also saw that in general the diet is kind of strict, and I'm like, come on, dude. I'm like, okay, you know, you want to eat only meat, whatever. Again, if it helps you, sure. But it's just so strict what I've seen, and I'm like, I don't think this is good.
I will
like,
have to admit, as someone who had to go on a total carnitarian diet, at first it sounds like it's glamorous, but then after a week, I kind of wanted to have other things instead because having most of my
okay,
food be not as flavorful as normal, that just made me crave other foods. Like I even started craving Doritos because I wanted to have something that has more flavor. And
I
I'll also have to admit that when I had burgers on the carnitarian diet, burgers do not taste the same without seasoning.
they really don't.
Steak does not taste the same without seasoning. Fish doesn't require seasoning as it's already flavorful. Like in the like at most, if I wanted to have something with flavor, odds are it's going to taste like fish because that was one of the few things I was able to use to add flavor to my food.
Hmm. I God, I just saw that. I will be fair. Most of my exposure to it was just fitness influencers, and
Yeah,
we all
don't trust
know.
fitness influencers
No,
with the
yeah, and we all
carnitarian
know,
diet.
and we all know most of them are not that trustworthy.
Yeah,
Um,
most of
I know
them
my
think, oh, this is
biggest
the best way to do it, but in the reality is that doesn't help them at
don't trust
all.
them. Don't trust influencers when it comes. Don't trust correction. Don't trust every influencer you see. Like always fact check them if what they're saying is actually something that
And if you need help with a diet, it's better to go ask someone who understands medical, especially diets, because
yeah like
that's someone who's going to help you a lot more in the long run. Because
yeah saying
realistically
don't
speaking, everyone has a different requirements for their body. Some people require more protein, some people require less.
yeah that's what I'm saying like always if you're gonna do something that an influencer said at least try to consult a doctor before doing because you never
Yeah.
know how your body's gonna react to it. And maybe you think, oh, they're telling me this worked for them, and then you do it, and then you have a very bad side effect because your body just is not built for it. Your body's everybody's different. Not everybody can handle every diet. Some bodies thrive on the vegan diet, others don't. Some
Yeah.
bodies thrive in the vegetarian diet, some don't. Some bodies thrive in the carnitarian diet, some don't. Like it really just depends. Heck, some bodies just heck, there are bodies who like just cannot handle like they cannot handle the amount of strictness there is, you know?
Yeah. Some diets do get very strict, and carnitarian, like going back to it for a moment, is one of those diets that when I had to go on it, it was very strict, but simultaneously it wasn't as strict as I thought it was going to be. But I did
Mm,
end up learning real quick that there's a lot of really weird stereotypes that people have with carnitarian, which leads a lot of
mm,
people to not eat the proper things for a carnitarian diet.
like the one I just talked about.
Yeah. Like, one example I do have that I have to admit I had the option to do. was eat fish eyes, because
Mm.
fish eyes are highly rich in vitamins. They're also rich in other things that are good for the human body, even though it's not something you'd normally think about having. That's one of the few things that ended up leading me to be able to eventually end the carnitarian diet, was simply having a few fish eyes, which helped with my diet. But this was years ago and I was young at the time. But I did learn some really interesting things that stuck with me. And the first thing that's there is on carnitarian diet, a lot of food is going to taste real familiar and nothing will taste special very quickly without the ability to
Mm.
season anything.
I had a feeling. That's another thing that it's like I know that maybe that the diet is not for me. I need to have seasoning in my food.
And like if you want to have seasoning in your food, you can't do carnitarian because the closest thing you have to seasoning is broth.
Or salt.
Actually, salt doesn't even count as a seasoning.
What the fuck?
That's a whole other story. But for carnitarian, yeah, I was very miserable by the end of a week. And I'm kind of thankful to
I
God that I didn't have to continue that for longer.
I
I also did
know
miss ketchup. I will say that.
that.
Like, there's a
Oh,
lot of
that's
things that
scary.
you will miss if you were to go on a carnitarian diet.
I know. I know. I won't be able to last a day. I need seasoning in my food. Like my food has to be seasoned. If it's not seasoned, I won't like it.
And with
It's such a
seasonings,
big
I
thing
did learn
too,
more
because
about
there's so
seasonings as
many
well because a lot
foods
of
that I've
seasonings are
eaten.
plant based.
It's so funny too, because there's so many seasonings I've had, and to the point that at least this my entire life I've eaten food that's like very seasoned, and it's gone to the point where foods I like, if they're not seasoned, I'm like I can't eat this. I'm sorry, like it doesn't taste good. I can't even. It's gone to the point where I can tell if it's seasoned or not. You can tell me, oh yeah, I seasoned it. And I'm like, no, you didn't. This is not seasoned.
Mm,
I will say some of my friends do look at me weird because they're like, what do you? Because they're like, dog, like, what do you mean it's not seasoned? It's like it's not seasoned. It's not seasoned.
yeah. I understand if something isn't seasoned enough, it isn't going to taste right, but when you try a carnitarian diet and eat all sorts of meats, it is really eye opening how many things have not the same flavors. Like, don't get me wrong, some things do have natural flavor, such as fish and crab, but when you eat chicken or beef without any seasoning, like, no, it's not going to be flavorless, it's just not going to taste quite as appetizing. So in the end, things as simple as chicken becomes a little disappointing to eat.
Yeah, I get that. I always say, like, food should be enjoyed. It shouldn't be
Yeah,
something you have to do.
yeah. And if you have to do something, like for example, if you have to have a certain diet or diet alteration for medical reasons, that's totally understandable. No judgment from me.
Yeah,
Everyone has
same.
different requirements, and following those requirements is the best way to experience longevity.
Yeah, if you wanna, I always say no judgment from me. Like I said, the diet. I've seen the diet help people. I've seen the diet help people. I know that I know that it works. I just say like sometimes I'm like the diet is a bit too like restrictive. Like you should not be this. You should not be this forced into a diet. You know, and
Yeah,
also it's like there are times where it's like the way that they describe it is like I don't feel like this is enjoyable, and I always say food should be enjoyed. No matter what diet you are, food should be enjoyed.
yeah.
And if you are not, and if you're doing a diet and you're not enjoying your food, I then
Yeah.
and you have to be in the diet. Find ways, like be creative. You know,
Yeah,
keep
like with each
creating.
diet, there's options, and sometimes it takes time to figure out what works for options.
Yeah, you can do it. Find ways. I always say like, no matter what diet you're on, you should enjoy your food. So find a way to enjoy it. Find a way to enjoy it. Get creative, try stuff out, experiment. That's the joy of cooking. That's the joy of food. You can experiment with it and see, oh, this works or this doesn't work.
Oh, give me a moment. I have to end this part and start the next part.